Alright, good day everyone. So today we have this rare opportunity to review yet another Godzilla figure. So I say rare opportunity because this is one of those rare times that I have the original figure and the re-release. So without further ado, this is the NECA Godzilla 2001 from the movie Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Out Attack. So this figure uh, is playfully known as GMK Godzilla. So, or this design of this Godzilla suit is playfully called the GMK Godzilla. So yeah, so this is what the original looks like. This came with a plastic shell. And this is what the re-release looks like. So it has its fancy box. So the box depicts the poster from the movie, some more decals and some more branding information, and at the back you have a glimpse of what the actual figure looks like. Well, at least that's what the box says. When you open the box, just like similar to the new NECA releases, you have a still of the figure, and here you have the actual figure. So as you can see, it's night and day already. Even without opening the box, you can already see a big difference on the paint application, specifically how they treated the dorsal plates. So the dorsal plates on the actual figure is pretty white, while there is a ton of detail on this figure that's depicted on the box. It's not even similar to what the original figure looks like. So I don't know if this is where they got this figure. Did they repaint it? Not sure. Anyway, so without further ado, let's go ahead and open up this box. Okay, so this is how the figures look outside of the box. So this is the original NECA Godzilla 2001, and then this is the re-release, the one that we just unboxed. So as you can see, the re-released version is just a little bit taller than this one, but in terms of the details on both figures, most of them are really identical. There are some details that are noticeably different. So for example, the head sculpt is a bit thinner compared to the original figure. But most of the details from the original and the re-release are very much the same. It is very obvious though that on the original figure it's a bit more glossy. Let's see if I can increase the lighting to show you guys. So yeah, so there. So as you can see, in terms of the paint application, you can tell that this one has more Mod Podge applied to it. That's why the whole body is a bit more glossy compared to this one. So this one you could see more of the dry brushing, which is consistent with the newer NECA releases. So it has a rougher texture to it on the entire body. Also, the paint application on the mouth, it's a hit or miss for both. So as you can see here, the gums on the re-release is it has some bleeding paint on the sides of the mouth. I'm not sure why they did that. On the original, it's painted better. It has more consistent painting. In terms of the teeth, this one doesn't have much of that shine to it. There is a good weathering on the gums though. compared to the newer one. I like how they did the teeth on the newer one, but I think they made the gums too clean for my taste. So again, sometimes this is better, sometimes that's better. In terms of how they did the eyes, I like the painting on both, so it's kind of consistent for both figures. On the body, I feel like these arms on the re-release are quite longer compared to the original, but it's not that. I mean, the differences on the sculpt on these two forearms are really minute. I'm sorry, this one and this one. There are some differences on how they sculpted it. Like, if you can see here, this one has more of the sculpt protruding outward compared to the new one. It's flushed right on the edge, so it's cleaner in terms of the joint, but this one looks like it's longer than this one. So again, so it points to that direction that this is actually a re-sculpted figure compared to this one. The legs, you could also see that it's a bit taller, it's a bit longer. The thighs, I mean, that's on first glance. I might be wrong, but yeah, so it does look, so that's why it's kind of taller than the other figure, than the original figure. In terms of paint application on the nails, as you can see, there is a stark difference on the paint they used both for the original and on the re-release. So the re-release has more white to it, although in terms of paint application, both figures really didn't do a good job on painting the nails. So there is a bit of weathering that's supposed to be going on here, but yeah, so they sloppily painted both figures. Now, on to the more glaring difference of both figures. The dorsal plates on the original has some sort of detail into it, so it has a mix of black, gray, and white, while on the re-release you could see that most of it is just white and some gray on the ends. So this is the more glaring difference that you could obviously see from the box, because on the box there is much detail that's done on the dorsal plates, but on the actual figure none of that detail exists. So that's actually one of the that's one of the downers that I saw from this figure. Also, here you have some paint that's, you know, misplaced here and there. I don't know why it has that paint, because it doesn't really appear on the rest of the figure. It's kind of like a blue-green paint which doesn't exist on the figure per se. And finally, one of the most obvious details that is different on both figures is the tail. So on the original figure here, you have actually 4 sections. So this is the first section, the second section, the third, and then the third, and so it has 4 sections. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is the only this section here is the one that has the bendy wire. So it's this long. Compared to the re-release, this section right here are all bendy wire. I'm not sure why they actually omitted this section. Before, this section used to be connected by a ball joint. So on the re-release, they actually omitted one section. I don't know if it's by mistake or they really did that on purpose. But on the on the re-release, you only have 3 sections. So it's 1, 2, and then this long is basically a bendy wire. So for some people, that's well, obviously if you're you know, if you're doing stop motion animation, you'd want more ball joints or for more articulation. Although for NECA, since it's just one section, you would probably give them a pass. So imagine if you want to do this pose, that you can do on the original. On the re-release, that's it. So that's how big of a difference one ball joint does. Of course, you could always bend the whole wire to make it more poseable, but in terms of durability, you can always argue that having more ball joints on a figure is a much better option than a longer bendy wire. So yeah, so that's the biggest difference of these two figures. So so it's the ball joints on the tail, and of course the paint application on the dorsal plates. So yeah, so pros in terms of paint application overall, I'd say that this one has the better paint application, better dry brushing compared to the original. I do appreciate the extra height that this one gives. Not too much, as you can see. It's almost unnoticeable, just a few millimeters. There are some, even though overall this is the better paint application, this has the better paint application, it does have a lot of flaws as well, just like the gums, just like the dorsal plates. But if you know me, you would know that if the only issue with the figure is the paint application, that's a very minor detail that we could easily fix. So at least it's not really much of a resculpt, if you will. But this does bother me. Having an extra ball joint is always, is always welcome compared to having a longer bendy wire. So I'd probably say that in that regard, this is the better figure compared to this one, because in terms of paint application, I could always do dry brushing on the original figure and make it appear similar to how this one looks like. Although the additional height, so again, that's really up for debate. Which one is the better figure? Would you rather have the original with an extra ball joint, or would you rather have the re-release without that ball joint but has better dry brushing, and I feel like it has a better head sculpt compared to this one? So let me know your thoughts. You could comment down below, who do you think should win? Is it the original version or the re-release? Always welcome. It's always good. It's always a good conversation. So yeah, so that's it for me, folks. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. So if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. Please give this video a thumbs up. And so yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys soon. Peace.